Welcome to the Capital Spreads Weekly Update. Today is Wednesday the 16th of March 2011, and the situation so far, well, unsurprisingly, Japan seems to be dominating the news and seems to be overshadowing pretty much every economic, political or corporate data that we have. And firstly, I would like to say our sympathies go out to all the victims of this great disaster. The negative sentiment that we've had in the financial markets has been around for a few days at least, and it was initially started by the uncertainty and the continuing uncertainty that we've had in the Middle East, in particular Libya. Now with the disaster that we have in Japan, it further cements this negative economic sentiment, and it certainly looks like many people are worried about whether we could have a possible Asian economic slowdown, if not a global economic slowdown. In the background, you continue to have uncertainty over the debt crisis in Europe, which still hasn't been resolved. So at the moment, as it currently stands, there isn't a lot to be positive about. Looking at the Nikkei as it currently stands, it's trading around 88.66. It's down about 160 points in the day, and I have a chart to show you regarding what the Nikkei has done over the last few days. As can be seen on the morning of the 15th, the Nikkei fell at its low of almost over 1,500 points. At one point, you had the Singapore Nikkei futures trading around 7,800. The CME Nikkei futures were suspended from trading because they'd hit the volatility limit when the Nikkei was down 1,000 points or so. It has subsequently bounced with the view that hopefully things won't be as bad as they are. However, there still remains no uncertainty as the disaster continues to unfold. The FTSE is currently trading around 56.61. Unsurprisingly, the FTSE as well as the US markets followed the downward spiral in the Nikkei of the last few days, as due to the concerns of the uncertainty and to the possible slowdown that we might have in the global economy as a result of what's happened in Japan. The FTSE has been trending downwards recently, so if anything, it looks like it could certainly go a little bit lower from here. You're possibly looking at near-term support around 5,600 and then a stronger support level around 5,500. On the upside, if the FTSE bounces from here, you're possibly looking at resistance around 5,780. However, given the uncertainty that we seem to now be having in the global economic markets, plus the fact that the unemployment situation continues to remain quite dire in the UK, that certainly looks like the momentum certainly seems to be on the downside. There was economic data out of the UK, for example, today, which showed that the unemployment rate in the UK continues to remain around 8%. Quite a shocking situation as it currently stands. US crude also came off over the last few days, partly off the back of the disaster that we had in Japan, which is a large importer of oil, and also the fact that there were concerns that we could possibly have a slowdown in the global economy. At one point, US crude went from a high of about 101.60 down to about 97.00, which was around 3 o'clock this morning. It has subsequently bounced back to around 99.60. Now, this is off the fact that the tensions in Libya seem to have now escalated, with Gaddafi now countering attacks from insurgents, and it certainly looks like that situation is getting worse rather than better. You also continue to have this new situation developing whereby there could be a possible uncertainty over whether Bahrain and troops in Saudi Arabia might even possibly go to war as well. Looking at the week going forward, we have a number of figures over the next few days that could possibly affect the financial markets. The first will be the US CPI, which will be coming out tomorrow. Now, we're not actually expecting much of a change in the US CPI figure. However, any sharp increases there could certainly change the tone of the US Federal Reserve in terms of when they raise interest rates. More importantly for the UK economy, you will be having the UK CPI figures coming out on Tuesday, 22nd of March. Recently, we've had very strong CPI figures and inflation figures in the UK. Another strong figure from on Tuesday will certainly change the sentiment and mood of the Bank of England committee. And also on Wednesday next week, on the 23rd, we also have the Bank of England minutes, which will again show how many of the people voted to actually raise interest rates now rather than later. In terms of client activity, many of our clients have been buying into the falls that we've had recently, believing that the falls that we've had have been overdone. So unsurprisingly, they bought quite strongly into the UK, US and European indices. They also bought into the falls that we had both in oil as well as gold and the other commodities. However, they have sold into the Eurodollar market, believing that the Eurodollar has hit or is near quite a strong resistance level around 140.00. In terms of the theme of the week, I would say the theme of the week is pretty much the disaster that we've had in Japan, as it continues to influence pretty much everything at the moment. There seems to be a view that there could certainly be further bad news to come, considering that the nuclear radiation that we've had in Japan still has not been contained. We continue to have aftershocks in Japan. Again, those could also lead to further catastrophes. As it currently stands, nobody's sure whether this is the bottom or this is actually the start of a new downturn in the global economy. That's it for now. As usual, if you have any feedback, it's media@capitalspreads.com.